those of you that have been wanting a return to form are about to get about halfway there. We're not ready to return to the trenches quite yet. My editing tolerance is not on the rise like I thought it would be. Yeah, and the assets are piling up, but we're getting there. It is a slog. Anyways, we're going to be actually responding to a video today. Isn't that crazy? We're sitting here in Premiere Pro recording a voiceover supposedly related to some other YouTube video. Isn't this great? The cyclical feedback loop of fucking slop. The piggies can't get enough, goddamn. Slop economy. It's going through the roof. You better buy in now before it crashes so then I can rug pull that shit. Anyways, today what we're going to be looking at is actually supposedly satire put out on a channel that specializes in such things. However, I'm not sure if it's an actual crash out or if it goes along with the satire, but I'm slipping into a Canadian accent there. What the fuck? But a lot of the people in the comments seem to be enthusiastically receiving it as if it were real, so we're going to treat it as real. It's going to be a template for the type of person that I absolutely fucking despise. This is the type of person that I coin the dead man. This man, not this man. If he's doing satire, it's a pretty good fucking job. This is some solid S tier of acting. It is premium. Kino, as the kids say. Whatever they say. But god fucking damn. Not this guy. He's not the dead dude, but what he represents is 100 fucking percent exactly what I'm talking about. And the responses in the comments, just the way that he structures his entire argument. I've got flowcharts for days documenting the way that this shit just does not play out. The way that this shit is a cyclical cycle of fucking self-validation and excuses to push yourself away from goals that weren't actually there to begin with, and blaming the world for all your problems and circumstances. And there's like literally probably dozens and dozens of points. I have 900 pages written out. Trust me, bro, when I say that I am an authority on this. I'm not yet, but I'm working on it. This is my life's work, to fucking pull down people like this back to fucking rock bottom. They've never been there. They'll never be there. If they could hit it, they would have something to stand on. But as it stands, they got nothing. It's bullshit. And I think that the internet is a great platform to better further develop these ideas. And well, you can't kill what's already dead. So let's beat the dead horse, shall we? Can we get a cautionary tale W in the chat? See this? My brain is not immune to rot. The autism does not guard me from this. I was lied to. The vaccine was supposed to fix this issue. But anyways, let's get into this shit.
I got a call this morning from AAA. AAA is a car insurance company. Car insurance is something that you pay for because you have to for some reason.
Now get this. I know he's going to check me on his, Now get this. I know he's going to check me on my bullshit in like 3 seconds, but bear with me. No, you don't. You don't got to fucking pay for that shit. It is optional. You know, if you are... God damn, this fucking Canadian. No! I'm assimilating. Fuck. Oh, okay. You don't have to. If you're in a struggling situation, you don't need fucking car insurance. You can go without it. Trust me, I've been there, done that. I have delivered things, done work with my car without car insurance to get the money to pay for it. But guess what? You don't need it. If you're a good driver and you respect laws and people, and, you know, you even get buddy-buddy with the cops and learn some fucking social skills, you can get by pretty damn easy. Now, I know that a lot of people don't have these things and generally have a shit ton of resentment towards the world, but that is no excuse for the skill differential that exists. So, we're going to let this play out, and he's going to prematurely respond to that allegation, and I am going to wither before it. Thank you. Continue.
When you become an adult,
Buddy old pal, you should probably caveat this with the statement, if you become an adult. I know that y'all aren't too keen on psychology and whatnot, but there is this Jungian concept called the puer aeternus, and it is not a pretty sight, I tell you what, and the symptoms are obvious. And your character displays them perfectly. Bravo. You really went into depth. Congratulations. The eternal child, that's what puer aeternus means. I think it's fucking Latin, but puer, that sounds French. So maybe it's a hybrid. Maybe they got on the mixtape with the etymology down there, but you know what? Let's not babble too much, fuck.
and you attempt to live in society, every single aspect of being alive costs between $100 and $1,000 to $2,000.
Well, you see, Batman, I've been reading a little bit of Marx, and I know the labor theory of value. You know, there's this yeah, shit costs money, you fucktard. Anyways, that's a great point. Shit costs money. Well, what's your solution, buddy old pal? Well, guess what? You don't have to pay for anything you don't want. You know that famous line from Fight Club, we go to jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need? Well, yeah, guess what? The thing is, if you know what you want, you're not in this situation. You don't have to play this fucking ball game, brother. If you really knew what you fucking wanted, there'd be no game. You wouldn't have to buy anything to live up to some standard that society puts out there for you. There is absolutely nothing controlling you other than your own prerogative, Buster. And I'm sure we'll get into this more later, but you know, it's worth saying because there is more detail later on. He gives examples, so we'll
Every single thing. And the older that you get, the more things keep being added. So you work like a dog all month so that you can afford every single hand that's sticking out in your face.
And you work like a dog. Oh yeah, there's this perception that there's some bullshit idea that got come up with way back when, that your participation is equivalent to labor. That your participation is equivalent to your best effort. That you being there in presence is just showing up, just doing the thing that you signed up to do is fucking slavery, and I don't deal with that. That's bullshit. It's all about your perceptions. If you sign up for something, you absolutely cannot complain about doing it. Now, here's the thing, is that all those things handed in front of you, if you just had the fucking balls, the gonads, the testes, the family jewels, anything down below your waistline, the hang and dangle, you would have the prerogative to say no. It's all about consent, buddy. We learned about this in middle school. Consent is like a cup of tea. You don't feed it to someone who's asleep, and you certainly don't give tea that's spiked to retards like you. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that I forgot the original point, and I just started going on a tirade, but the participation as labor is a complete fucking joke. You don't work like a dog. Maybe you do. But that's just because of the perception of everything else that you have in the world. You know what? The world that you see is the world that you get. And if you see everything as pointless, right, go fetch the stick. Go fetch the stick. And you don't know why you're going and running to get the stick, right? You don't got something that you're going to go and use that stick for. You're just getting it for somebody else. To pay some fucking bill, some fucking Macy's subscription that they sent you, and you felt obligated to get into it because all your neighbors were, then that is your bullshit. You're sniffing your own shit and you don't like it. Co-parter.
Saying, you have to pay this because otherwise you won't have car insurance because you need car insurance to drive, and you need car insurance because you have to drive a car and you have to go to your job and you have to do all this stuff. And please, if you're thinking at this point, well, you don't have to have car insurance. If you want to drive a car, then you have to get insurance because that's your decision. No, it isn't!
Yes, it is. 2 points. One is that all of your circumstances eventually lead back to your actions, and the consequences that you face at some level always lead back to your actions. And the second point is that you really don't need it. Here, do this. Do this. Try this. Cut off your bank account. Close it. Close it. Reopen it on the same day. I don't care. But all of your payments going outbound are going to be severed. Get a new phone number. Actually, no, we're not to that point yet. But cut your payments and see what happens. See what happens. There will be bills that show up. There will be people that show up. They'll come looking for you. But guess what? You'll pay it. And guess what? At the end of the day, you're probably going to cut 60% of that. And nothing is going to change. By the way, you're paying for AAA car insurance. Most expensive insurance that you can buy, I'm pretty sure, for the layman. Gay. Anyways, I went homeless once, and I did that, all that same shit. And I had $30, and it lasted me like a month. I'm not kidding you. Guess what? You don't need to spend money just because there's a bill at your front door. If you don't pay the IRS, they'll just keep sending you the bill. There's interest. Guess what? There's a terms of service. You can choose to forego your payments for a consequence. If that's a consequence that you're willing and able to put up and deal with in the moment, then guess what? Guess what? You can do it. You can do it. You could save that money for something that you really needed at the moment, and then you can pay the interest at a later date. Congratulations. Don't even get me started on car payments. If we get going on car payments, this is, oh my God. No,
it's not my decision because I live in a city that is car dependent.
Choice.
I live in a country that is car dependent.
Also a choice.
So don't be fucking cute and say that I should take the Los Angeles Metro.
Take the Los Angeles Metro out of here. Take it somewhere where you want to do anything in life. If life is so horrible, you can find something you want to do. You don't need to do what you're doing if you fucking hate it.
Spare me!
If you really want to, you can go homeless and just take fentanyl all day. That's a valid option also. But you're not going to do that. You're coming on here with your complaining, and I'm so sick and tired of hearing people complain and this notion that it is valid to complain about things and not want solutions. No, you're coming on here with all of your solutions in mind and saying, no, it won't work. It won't work. I'm doing my best. It won't work. Nothing works. I'm always doing my best. I'm always doing what I need to. Nothing ever works out, but for some reason my circumstances just fucking hammer me in the anus. You don't know what you want. You want to want things. It's a you problem. Pussy boy, get off the internet. I'm calling you on my bullshit. And I'll tell you what, I complain about things all the time, but I always make sure to point out my own bullshit. And if I forget to, I usually make another follow-up video saying that, oh, look at all that bullshit I was talking. And you know what? It works. It works. If you acknowledge your responsibility in the events that you live through, if you acknowledge the things that you say that you do, if you acknowledge that you take primary part, the leading acting role in whatever debacle that you're in, guess what? You're also the primary leading actor of your own salvation. Cheesy? Yeah, that's a little bit cheesy. Very much so. But we're so wrapped up in irony and self-pity here and all this garbage for way too long that just being genuine, like if I'm gonna smack you on the back of your bald forehead and say, idiot, you can do what you want. You're an adult. You don't have to rely on the Department of Motor Vehicles to sanction your outbound trip. And you're going to cry about that? You're going to say that I'm wrong? Guess what? I've done it. You can do it. I believe in you. Believe in yourself. You still have all these hopes and aspirations about how the world should be a better place, and you won't do anything about it. No protest. No protest. Just going along with it and bitching. Bitching and moaning and telling everybody that they have to do exactly the same thing. Lovely.
Got a call this morning from AAA law enforcement. Or fucking goddamn it! From AAA, I don't even know what it... From AAA car insurance! AAA car insurance. And they said, Mr. Henschel, there's a problem. One other thing about being an adult is that you have something called a cell phone. On your cell phone, you get about 100 calls a week that are complete gibberish nonsense from a basement in Malaysia.
You know, this is how I know this guy's a full of shit, the wagey consumer motherfucker, is because he's getting 100 spam calls a week. Where are you giving out your phone number to so many places? You get 100 fucking spam calls a week. And by the way, like I mentioned previously, but did not go in more depth on, is the fact that get a new phone number. Oh my god. If it's such an inconvenience to deal with 100 phone calls, and like he's going to say in 3 seconds, it's because you got a one important one every now and again. Guess what? It's so much easier to go through all of your accounts and update your phone number than it is to deal with that 100 phone calls a week and the stress that comes with it, thinking like, oh, I gotta answer every single one of them. I gotta answer every single one of them. By the way, your phone has a spam filter. It knows when there's likely spam, and guess what? You can just turn that on. You will not be held liable if your bank or some other affiliated association that keeps you responsible and has fiscal obligations with given to you from them. They will not hold you responsible. If they do, you can take them to court, win a lawsuit, and never have to work again in your life. That's what you'd like, isn't it, buddy? Is that what you're playing at? Is that what you're trying to get to? Is you want to get a class action lawsuit against somebody? That's why you're giving yourself all these inconveniences. But are you even smart enough to lawyer up? Probably not. But anyways, there's a solution. There's a solution. By the way, you don't need a phone. You don't need a phone. Guess what? If you get pulled over without insurance and you say, oh no, I have insurance. Look, officer, it's updated right here. And then they pull it up on their screen. They're like, no, actually, it is not updated. They recently can't. And you'd be like, oh, I didn't know that. And he'd be like, well, you better go home and you better figure that out. And unless you don't escalate things, he'll let you go and it'll work out. And if it doesn't, then guess what? You get to take him to court and you get a settlement and you don't have to work for your life again. That's how this shit works. It's so easy. They make it so easy for you. Every bureaucratic measure in existence that inconveniences you can also inconvenience those that inconvenience you. It's literally made that way. It's called checks and balances. I hate it. It sucks. But guess what? You got the same tools as they do. The only thing holding you back from that same legal action is yourself. And there's always going to be some extra excuse. There's always going to be like, oh, but I don't want to do this. That's impractical. If you do this, then this will happen. And you'll go, what if I go to jail? What if I go to jail? What if I go to court? What if I can't afford a lawyer? What if I can't do this and that? And we'll just run, go to a different state. There's billions of different options. And I'm not saying that the illegal ones are the most pertinent. But guess what? If you break a law, it doesn't immediately mean that you're going to go to jail unless you really, really believe that. Good fucking grief.
You get 100 phone calls a week from random series of numbers. If you answer the phone call, you will hear complete silence. You also get one phone call a week that if you don't pick it up, it will ruin your life.
You know, I ran through like one of those speedways in Illinois once when I was 17. Don't ask me what I was doing in Illinois when my home base was literally on the other side of the United States. But basically, when I got that bill, I just straight up ignored it. It was like $3. And I've been ignoring it ever since. And they've been sending me letters every single day. And it's been about 3 years. I wonder what the interest is racked up to on that. But basically, I'm not paying it. They can't prove that I was in that part of the state. I have a rock-solid alibi. So I'm not paying it. There's a parking ticket that I got for a college campus that I don't even go to. I'm not paying that shit. I got a health bill at one point. And I haven't been to any health-related institution, by the way. So there's nothing in that could hold up in court. And I know that. So guess what? I get to just ignore them. If they really want to send out if they really want to extradite me back to wherever I used to live at the time, and they want to persecute me, I'm going to just show up and be like, yeah, well, couldn't have been me. And guess what? If they do prosecute me, guess what? That's bullshit. But it also makes for a really good story. It's not a bunch of prison time. I can get out on good parole. And I know that I could have avoided the inconvenience, but guess what? I don't want to. Because on principle, I am not paying for some bullshit that I do not need to pay for. On principle. That's your problem, buckaroo. Is that you believe that these things will ruin your life. But guess what? For me, they make my life more spicy, more interesting. They make my life more vibrant. And it's all about perspective. Again, perspective. Your experiences, what you remember about your experiences is all about your perception of them. And the perception of those experiences create your beliefs in life that determine, they don't determine, they influence, unless you believe in determinism, then they determine the actions that you take in other experiences that further increase the certain amount of the certain type of perception that you had that one time, and it just creates the belief again. It calcifies these ideas in your mind, and guess what? The world slowly becomes a more dreary and dark place where dreams go to die. And every day you wake up and you look at the world as it should be, and you see reality standing next to it. And the world as you should be never existed, but you still chose to believe in it. And every day you have to face that. And every day you know that that is not true. That is not the honest reality. The world as it should be is a hope that you cling on to. It is a sterilized figment of your imagination, some utopia that will not ever exist, cannot, because this coin has two sides, buddy. There are trade-offs to everything, and if the world was as you wanted it to be, it would be hell for others. So you wake up every day, and you compare, and you contrast, and you wail and moan in rapture for what could have been, what should have been, but you know deep down it could never have been. So you're bitter and you blame everyone around you and everything, and you go along with everything that you despise, that you abhor. And life goes on. Life goes on whether or not you are willing and able to commit to the reality in front of you.
Somewhere in there is an extremely important phone call. The same thing happens with your mail. Every week, you get 1,000 fucking pieces of trash! And one very, very important letter that if you don't answer, you go to jail.
The thing about conscious fiscal irresponsibility is that it absolves you from all financial stress. And you may not like hearing about the ease at which I navigate my financial problems, my financial hurdles, but I got sent a letter by the IRS at one point that I declined to pay for 2 years. This is known as your taxes. And guess what? I paid an extra $15 in fees for waiting 2 years to pay my taxes. Isn't that wild? Isn't that crazy? Isn't it like that one single letter can ruin your life and send you to jail? Oh, but if some people get sent to jail with your IRS, you're just not making a lot of bread. You're just not making a lot of dough. Guess what? They really don't give a shit about anybody that makes less than $100,000 a year. Right? And if you're worried about getting audited later on, first and foremost, worry about getting your bag up. Because if you do get to that income bracket where they start giving a shit about your taxes, then you will have the resources and capability to deal with the issue. But you know what? Financial stress is just such a heavy burden, heavy unnecessary burden that so many of us carry. And just shedding that for an extra couple of dollars that you're going to pay anyways in the future, it's really not a big deal. Get over yourself. You're not going to jail. Maybe it's like child support payments and you're divorced from an absolute bitch fiend hound that is tweaking and has a lawyer friend at the court, despite sitting on the steps outside and shooting up methamphetamine every day, then maybe in that case you're fucked. But, buddy old pal, don't worry so much. Don't worry, be happy. Every little thing, it gonna be alright. Don't worry about the thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. I said, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing.
This morning, I got one of those phone calls in the magic grab bag, and I picked it up. It was AAA. And they said, Mr. Henschel, unfortunately, it seems that there was a lapse in your coverage because you switched your driver's license. You had a Maryland driver's license, and then you got a California driver's license. And you need to give us your California driver's license information now. Otherwise, you don't get to have car insurance. And if you drive your car, you can go to jail.
That's the never hit that shit. Buddy has never heard of a courtesy call before in his fucking life. I tell you what, there's a thing that they do when you sign up. It's like terms and service. I think this video is gonna be titled "Bro did not read the terms and conditions." He did not. You're expected to read the legal jargon for a reason, because otherwise, if they don't have the legal jargon, they get sued, and if they don't put it in there, then people complain that it's not in there, and then if it is in there and they don't read it, then people complain that they didn't know about it anyways. You're not actually supposed to read the terms and conditions. They're supposed to let you know everything up front. Fuck you. Oh gosh, shithead. There's a reason why you read the terms and conditions, and it is exactly this. If you're willing to take the risk, to take the gamble, and by the way, every single millennial, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, boomer individual that got on the meme that is like, I ain't reading all that when looking at the terms and conditions, they're weeping about everything that happens to them because they believe that their ignorance will hold up in court when they tick the box that said, I have read the terms and conditions and accepted this agreement. Just read the terms and conditions if you're so worried about it. I remember sitting there and reading it's not even as long as you would expect. It's like maybe 6 pages. Have you not read 6 pages in the last 3 years? I know that most Americans have, and that's pretty fucking sad and pathetic. And God, you're a loser if you can't do that. But I get it. It's hard. It's hard to read 6 pages that could save you all of this trouble that you're complaining about. All this trouble that will keep popping up because you still will not go back and read the goddamn terms and conditions. Is this your problem? Is this a you problem? Or is this a they problem? Is this them? The big conglomerate? The invisible bureaucracy, the string pullers, the satanic pedophile government. Is this their fault that you did not read the terms and conditions? Like, I get it. It's boring. It's time consuming. Oh, God, why do they have to do that? Why? Well, you know what? There's a very simple answer. Google it. It exists there, shrouding your ignorance in another layer of obfuscation and saying, I don't understand, is like a reason for your absolvement from everything that you walk into and get smacked by. Then shit's not going to work out. Shit's not going to fly. And guess what? If you never read this and you keep having these situations, you're going to look at the world as though there's like fucking snakes and booby traps around every corner, because there are. Ones that you know are there. You read the terms and conditions and you're like, ooh, I got a bad feeling about this. Like, you don't read them, my bad, and you get that bad feeling and you still proceed anyways, and then later on, it comes to bite you in the ass. Right? Comes to bite you in the ass. I've done this. LegalZoom. I set up an LLC once, and guess what? You can't unsign up from that unless you dissolve the company, and I can't do that. I mean, I could, but that would take a little while, and yeah, I need to do that before they charge me $200 again. See, I know about the terms and conditions. I've looked into this shit. I know the consequences I'm facing. But it's just going to be a really bleak world. Like I keep saying. The title of your video is literally like, life is horrible, everything sucks. Fuck everything. Yeah, life sucks because you don't know what you're dealing with. Everything is vague and ambiguous, and you let the vibrancy of life just fly by without looking at a single fucking thing. Stop and smell the roses. It blended into a blur, and now you're stuck with this static. The static electricity, and it's turned gray, and everything is gray, but it's not really gray. You're just so numb to all the stimulation, and you don't know why anything works the way it does, and you just trust that it will, even though everybody says that it won't, and you need to be careful. And oh no, you didn't read the Amazon reviews again, and you got scammed. Guess what? 2 seconds of your time could have saved you that fucking $50. Congratulations.
So I said, okay. Keep in mind also, the thing that really bothers me about all these people, car insurance, credit card, landlords, fucking everybody, the utility company, the water company, they all speak to you as though you are voluntarily doing this, as though they are doing you a favor. I don't want to pay for any of this shit. I don't want to do any of this. I didn't ask to do any of this at all. I didn't ask for it. I didn't even ask to be fucking alive.
This is the point where I know that it's satire, and this is the point where a lot of people should have realized that it's satire, because guess what? Every single one of those things is a voluntary contract, and they are doing you a favor, saying that this is a voluntary contract that you signed up for, and you need to pay because here, in the terms and conditions on this paper that you signed and stated that you thoroughly read and looked over with your lawyer, that you will be liable for the things that you don't pay for. You don't need any of those things, and you still signed up for them, and now you're bitching, right? We're talking about the dead man, this like archetype that we're throwing over the bald dude on screen. It is so insane to me that people actually have this mindset. This is a real thing. I don't want to be a part of this. None of this was my choice, and I didn't even want to be born. I didn't want to come into this life, and everything sucks, and I can't handle it. It's so mean. Everybody's wanting me to pay for the things that I put in my shopping cart. No! Stop it! It sounds so oppressive. Just get out. No. Please, spare me. Spare me. Just a little guy. Just a wee little guy in the world. No. Are you bipolar or some shit? Do you go through like hypomanic loops and forget about all the terms and conditions that you sign and just become completely ambivalent to them, and then you go into another hypomanic episode where you freak the fuck out on all these companies that you approached and said, here, I'm going to give you my commitment in these specific ways under these specific conditions for the benefits that you provide. Is that what's going on? Is that what's happening here? Because I don't really see another feasible option. It's so blatantly facetious that it's mind-boggling. Like, this is the bottom of the barrel in terms of excuses. And like I said, people like this simply have no idea what they want in life, and they just go along with what everybody else says that they need to do, right? Guidelines, suggestions, right? Best course of action that works out for the average. And you see that, and you're like, well, what if I don't want to do that? What if I don't want to do that? And then guess what? You build up this oppression in your mind. It's a threat. And then, oh my God, life becomes so scary and mean when people, with your best interest in mind, just doing what they were taught to do because you think that they should be able to do it better for every single person that exists and tailor some fucking philosophy of life exactly to you and cater to you and just hold your hand and wipe the spittle off your mouth as you go and hobble through life towards some ambiguous dream goal that somebody else will erect for you and put together, and you'll arrive there and be like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted, thank you very much, and then but it was me that came up with this all. You're gonna die bitter and sad, regretful. Nothing in your life will be reconciled. All your memories will be fantasies. You will have lived through the good memories so many times that they will have become ambiguous and overused, and nothing will be there to hold you through those elderly years where you just rot and regret everything. Are you going to abuse your memories that you have, the good moments that you had, the things that happened in your life, those little, I peaked in high school, I'm clinging on to this memory of this one girl. It is so sad. Is that what you're going to cling to? Or are you going to go out of your way to make new memories? Do you not realize that opportunity is still there for you? And this may sound a little bit harsh because it is. And commentary channels, they used to be like, here's where I'm flipping the script. Commentary channels used to be like, oh my God, dude, stop being so positive. It is literally the worst thing in the world, and nothing really matters, so why do you even care? No, I'm telling you, you're fucking stupid because you don't care. You're fucking stupid because you don't want anything out of life. You say that you do. But what you say that you want is your want to desire things. You want to be able to want the things that you're doing. You're in that thing, looking at it from the inside out and saying, oh, that guy, that's me, the guy that's in this situation. I wish that he enjoyed this situation, but he doesn't. He doesn't. He really hates it. And then every moment from then on, you're just stuck in your little mind cabin, just whining over the things that you can't quite want and saying, oh, but I do want it. I want the thing. And nothing ever happens. And you wait until catastrophe hits. And right before it sweeps you to rock bottom, you stabilize yourself in a void. And you never touch reality. You're just bungee cord bouncing through limbo. Almost touching the thing that you want. Almost touching rock bottom. But the tangible is just that far out of reach. Because there's too much irony. To care about something is to be vulnerable. And you don't want that. You don't want to be vulnerable because you think you'll get hurt. And you will get hurt. But when you get hurt, you become more resilient. It's a tale as old as time, and I can't believe we forgot it. Get hurt. Let things happen to you.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to pay my car insurance. I don't want car insurance. I don't want to give you my new driver's license. I don't want to fucking do that, but I have to for some fucking reason, because for some fucking reason, in order to be alive, you have to pay 20 different people $200. And you have to keep reciting random digits of numbers. Everything about being alive is just fucking numbers over and over again. Important numbers for this, important numbers for that. You gotta type in this password, you gotta type in this number, you gotta type in this thing, and if you get it wrong, you're gonna go to jail.
I've always had an issue with these motherfuckers that come on here and they're like, they praise like the mathematical paradigm and these savant syndrome people that have brain damage that can't function in their regular life because they have OCD so terrible that they're stuck just creating geometries in the back of their furniture shop all the time, and it really makes me mad. And because it's so stupid. The people that see the world as numbers, as dry and dead and numbers, they're the stupid ones. The numbers aren't real. The numbers don't exist. They are abstractions that we use to interpret reality, and they have absolutely almost no bearing on our reality other than what we choose to do with them. The good things in life, the bad things in life, you can quantify it, but it doesn't do shit unless you let it. So, when we get to this point where we say, everything is numbers, do you know the people that say that? The ones that don't fucking understand the numbers. I tell you what, economy is very important. In fact, it might be the backbone of just about every single human action that takes place. In fact, that is a title of a very long and hefty book that I would recommend reading by Ludwig von Mises, the number one, not anymore, authority on the School of Austrian Economics. And it is a good read because basically what it comes down to is that the economy is not numbers, it is just human action. It's not the other way around. We don't use human action because of numbers. We create numbers because of human action, and they are more incorrect than a fucking slot machine. Economists are so wrong. They are so bad at their jobs. Their mathematical charts are so inaccurate that it is better to leave the economic decisions up to a pigeon pecking at a screen or a fucking slot machine. If you think that the universe is mathematical, you're stupid. And there's another movie that I hate. It's called The Man Who Saw Infinity. And it's about this guy who was so obsessed with numbers that he like starved himself to death and got a disease, and they like promoted him to alumni at Harvard, Oxford school or whatever bullshit because they thought he was really talented because he saw pure numbers and everything. But guess what? His mathematical formulas were wrong. They were wrong. They didn't even fit the standards of what they were doing, but they're like, oh, but he has a gift. And they were right. He did. But is it worth making a movie over? There are much better historical figures to make movies about. And make movies about whatever you want to. But just this fucking solipsistic jerk-off of mathematicians and physicists ruling over and saying that the universe is deterministic and it's all billiard balls and we can calculate everything. Give them 3 planets rotating around each other and say, okay, what's the mathematical formula for that? They'd stutter and kill themselves. They can't do it. 3 objects. You're better off guessing. And you know what? Try to have anybody fucking quantify the complex interactions and build an algorithm around every single axis of neuronal function and hormonal function and tactile response and visual feedback and pathophysiological, psychosomatic, literally everything, and say, okay, predict the action within the next 10 seconds of this person without knowing anything other than these factors. They could not do it. Say, tell me, where and when will that leaf fall off of the tree? They cannot do it. You can only measure the things that are consistent in the universe. And when you look through the universe, when you look at the universe, through a mathematical lens, you only see the things that are consistent, and the things that are the most consistent are the things that are the most miserable. Certainty is awful. We hate it because we know exactly what will happen. Here, let me write out a checklist for you for your entire fucking life. This is what you need to do. This is everything in your life that you will do step by step. Take a look at that list. You can scroll all the way to the end and see how it ends. Now tell me, do you want to do everything on that list? Or do you wish that I'd never shown it to you? Do you look at that list and do you say, like even this hypothetical list thing, do you say, no, you can't put everything out on a list that I want to do with my life? That's absurd. I can just choose to do something different. Correct. Even if it was the most accurate prediction of what you could do, you would not want to do it. Because there's always something more interesting, more unpredictable that you could be doing. Chances are, if you followed that list to a T, you just get Alzheimer's and be sad and die. Get Alzheimer's at 30. Because there would be absolutely zero, what is it called? Neuroplastic change in your brain. You'd go stagnant. You'd become a vegetable willingly. It's a raw deal.
I didn't say any of this to the lady. I just said, sure, let me just give you this fucking number so that I can move on with my life and attempt to enjoy anything about anything.
Enjoy anything about anything. That is such a chopped statement, and I'll tell you why. Is because it's too vague. The idea here is that the guy does not know what could possibly be anything that he could have the potential to enjoy, and this is sad. Very sad. Very sad indeed, and I don't need to keep repeating myself. If you structure your identity around being in spite of all of the things that people say that you need to do to fit in, guess what? You still do those things. You're just doing them in spite of it. And you bar yourself from being able to enjoy anything that anybody else is enjoying because you need to be some sort of contrarian. But no, you're not going to be a contrarian because that's also trendy. You cannot fit in with anybody because you are doing everything out of spite. You're doing it because they said you can do it as you are. And you said, I bet, check this. And you pulled out what you are and you turned what you are into doing what they said, but failing. Because you wanted to prove them wrong. Oh, that's a bit unfortunate. How did we get in this situation? And he'll go on to say, and I don't know why. I don't know why. There's why. Even if it's not true, it's something that you could believe, feasibly convince yourself of, and once you believe it, everything else fits into the framework, and you're free to reshape your identity as you so choose. There's the golden ticket. Are you going to take it, or are you going to find another excuse for it? Because these rarely come around. All you have to do is sit down, strain your brain, put in a bit of effort, and convince yourself of that shit. Because unless you've already put the barriers in place to prevent yourself from believing something vaguely, remotely similar to that, it is plausible. You can find a workaround with what you believe in. It just takes a little bit of goddamn effort. Jesus fucking. Ugh.
Here it is. Click, clack, click, clack, click, clacks for a little while. And then she says, I'm sorry, Mr. Henschel. We can't offer you coverage. So I said, excuse me? Because I've had AAA for 3 fucking years. What's the problem? And she said, well, it appears that you were in an accident about a year ago. And I said, yeah, I was. I was in a fender bender. My one accident that I've had in the past 5 years. I drive because I'm forced to by society.
Okay, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit because it's just the same reiterated point, the terms and conditions bullshit. And there's there's a few more interesting, couple more, maybe possibly even more interesting points later on. We don't need to keep touching on the same things over and over again.
I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't ask for any of this. I, this morning, woke up and I said, God fucking damn it. I just need a fucking win. I just need one thing. Just one thing. Please, God. I don't believe in God. But I said a prayer last night. I said, God, can you please just let one good thing happen tomorrow? Because I gotta be honest here. I'm paying all these random corporations my entire paycheck. And I can't figure out why. I don't want to, but I have to. I have to. I have to pay rent. I have to pay my bullshit.
I'm gonna do a controversial bit. The thing about God didn't work because you used his name in vain, and this is not about religion and believing and whatnot. It's because you didn't actually believe that God could do anything, and you're like taunting, right? You're setting up this psychological whiplash in your fucking head to come back and bite you in the ass, and you knew that you were doing it, and you knew that you were doing it. It was gonna come, and there is absolutely, like, you say, I'm just trying to figure out why I'm paying these corporate. It's because of you. You're paying them. It's your fault. Your choices. Your circumstances. You get what you pay for. Literally. In this case, bills. You reap what you sow. Ignorance is not bliss. If somebody taught you that, be mad at them for half a second, and then realize that you don't have to be ignorant anymore. Your conscious ignorance, your cognitive dissonance from this situation, the single detail you're trying to remove is the embarrassing realization that you were the one that set yourself up for this. And you think it's fine to just examine the other aspects, because we went through this phase where we were like, okay, yes, of course, we have to acknowledge what we did in these situations, but let's just look at the other things for half a second. Just let me do that. And then we're like, okay, you can do that. And then people really got used to that. And now that's all they do, and they forgot about the first point. You're supposed to acknowledge what you do and then go through the catharsis. You're supposed to know what you're going to do. And maybe, if you're not too annoying about it, people will let you complain about it. But if all you do is complain about it, people will not put up with your shit. And I'm sick of putting up with people's shit in this situation, because all people do is complain and blame and shift fucking responsibility for everything onto somebody else, something else. I don't know why I'm paying. Do you hear that? I don't know why I'm. This is like classic Freudian psychology, the ego and the id. It's literally the I and the it. Like if I say, I don't know why I'm eating so much. Right? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Ego. I. Why I'm eating so much. It. Id. If that ever confused you, there's the solution. I don't know why this other part of me is doing this thing. Right? Externalize everything. Throw it away. Throw it into the wind. Never take responsibility for everything. Anything. And I don't really get a lot about that theory. I haven't read too much into Freud. But what I do know is that topic is fucking solid. The ego and the id, if just for that one phraseology, that one set of phraseologies, it is so valid. Thank you, Freud. God bless your cocaine addiction and love of MILFs. You gave us one good thing, if nothing else. I don't know why this other part of me is doing something. See? Even Freud recognized it. People want to put blame on anything but themselves because it's embarrassing. But the only way that you allow solutions to come into play It's by taking responsibility for the situation, because if you take responsibility, that means you can fix it. If you are the cause and not the symptom, you can work at it. You cannot cure heart failure because heart failure is a symptom. You cannot cure cancer because cancer is a symptom. But you know what you can fix? All of your shitty decisions that led up to that point. I mean, not at this point. And that brings out a really strong need to use this external separation of self and other. And that one small mistake makes all of your problems inoperable. Completely inoperable. Because it focuses on the symptom as the cause. Right, the best case scenario, the best example is that depression caused my shitty life. No, buddy, it's the other way around. But you don't want to admit that, because if you admitted that your shitty life caused your depression, then you would have to admit to creating a shitty life. But if you just do that, suddenly it can all be fixed. Congrats. You played yourself. Hurrah!
I guess my honest question is, what is supposed to be the good part of this?
You know, I really wish I could go in on a tirade on this bullshit. Fuck, oh wait, I can. I have free will. Thank goodness. Okay, so basically, what's supposed to be the good part? People live here's the thing. This is like a few hundred pages. This should be this explanation. But here, take my synopsis. People live their lives as if they're avoiding it. Okay, this is hard to explain. People go through lives saying that they wish they were content with life, and they do everything in their power to avoid life. The ardors, the strife, the pushing forth, all that cringy bullshit. They do everything in their power to avoid it. They do nothing in service of enjoying life. They run away from it, escape into the dopamine, escape into my phone, escape into the computer, escape into the sweet, sweet embrace of people who will validate my every point and view and never confront reality. Live in this fantasy, create this fantasy, curate this fantasy, turn my memories into mush palaces that validate my fantasy, live in hindsight, look at everything that happens from a critical perspective, and don't let it solidify until I can have the last word on how it actually played out. I will change the course of events after they've happened. You want to be content with life, you have to fucking live it. The good part is the part that you are in, and you have to put it there. You have to make it. You have to perceive it. You have to put in the effort to see the silver lining. No, you have to create the silver lining. It isn't just about looking, because if you look and you have the wrong mindset, you have the wrong perception. I don't mean wrong as in like there's some objective measure. I mean the one that genuinely makes you feel worse is the wrong one. The one that does not benefit you cannot be the right one. I don't care if you have to go into delusion to get to this point. That is the incorrect one. If you're sitting around waiting for life to get good, life will never happen. If you sit around looking at the bad parts of life and waiting for it to get good because you can only see the bad parts, you will only see the bad parts because you're looking out for the scary thing behind the bushes. And I really wish I had my notes with me. I'd read you off some excerpts, maybe some poems about this scenario. But it's all about coming to terms with things. Once you acclimate to things, they stop being problems. If you run away from them, they become scarier and they hurt even more every time you run into them accidentally. If you face them head on, you'll realize that the problem there actually didn't exist. And if it does, the skill differential that you can make up for will change that. Once you become someone who's capable of handling those situations, they're not problems anymore. Problems go away when you make them. Anyways, there's some more points, interesting points that we need to get to.
You know, is that just a question that everybody is too stupid to ask? Is that just a question that doesn't occur to most people who don't have mental health problems? Or is that a question that they just don't think about? What is supposed to be the fucking point?
I'm so glad he makes the caveat of mental health problems, because people without mental health problems never ever had mental health problems before, and people with mental health problems will always have this. I'm so glad that I'm actually qualified to answer this. I was in the psychiatric hospital, diagnosed with major depressive disorder, anxiety, among other things, and, it is what it is. But I found the point. I know the point. And guess what? The point is whatever you make it. Oh, shut up, dude. Shut up. That's so stupid. That's so stupid. But good news. The point is whatever you make it. Bad news. The point is whatever you make it. Good news. The point is whatever you make it. If the point is to pay these fucking bills and 20 companies $200, bad news, buddy. That's the point. If it's literally anything else, good news. I'm sorry for such a simplistic answer, but that is really all it comes down to. People are whining and complaining so much about avoiding the obvious, that Occam's razor has mutilated this issue over the course of thousands of years. And people that don't believe in it will never have a point to their life. They will die, they will be forgotten, and no one will care. That's the sad truth. No one, across everybody on the planet, no one has the time to care about and remember all the sad, pathetic lives that took place, just out of reverence for the fact that, everybody deserves the equal chance to be remembered. No. If you're an asshole, if you're annoying, if you're like this character that this guy's putting on, so insufferable. By the way, when he was talking about the fender bender back there that I skipped over, the character was talking about how he hit an old lady that pulled out in front of him going 20 miles an hour, and she was like, yeah, she got injured, but who cares if she got injured? She was the one that broke the law, it wasn't her fault. And then he whined and bitched and moaned about how nobody cared about him. You see, that's what we're up against, guys, boys, lads. If you don't see the issue with that mindset, if you expect people to care about you and you don't give a shit about anybody else, right? I don't expect you to give a shit about the faceless corporation, right? But I expect you to give a shit about the people that work there that you interact with. You have to understand their situation, that they have to abide by the same guidelines that you do, and they're the ones that will have their life more ruined than you if they try to make exceptions for you. Because guess what? Your $200 a month bill, if they hack into the mainframe somehow, there are guardrails on this shit. If they manage to change that for you somehow, they get fired. That's more than $200 a month. Even customer support people make more than $200 a month. You want sympathy? Give it. If you are not somebody capable of giving anything of valuable to anybody in life, no one will care about you. No one will have anything to give you if all you do is take, and expect more. That is how it is. You have to give before you receive, and you cannot expect anything in return, because it is the expectation of something in return that makes the action more or less completely useless. people won't want your help if you only help them because you want something in return. Just a little thing that's important to note. But I mean, we're all jovial over here anyways.
Why am I doing all of this? Nobody could tell me that at any point in my childhood. When I was in high school, when I was in school, and they were saying you have to get this grade so that you can get into a good college and you can get money to go to a good college, and if you go to college so you can get a job, and this is why you have to do all of these things that you don't want to do and that don't make any sense and that suck.
Once again, to clarify, we are addressing the archetype, not the man on screen. You are responsible for the why. The best next thing that people can provide for you is the what, the how. But you are always responsible for the why, because that is yours. It can only come from you. It is something that only you can imprint onto whatever you're doing, whatever it is. And the thing is, if you never figure out the why, if there is no why for you in something that other people tell you to do, you're not going to find it. And if you keep doing those things, that's your fault. The bigger problem here is that you believed them. Not that you believed them, sorry. That's a big mistake of words. The bigger issue here is that you thought that a why would appear if you did the what in the how manner. It's not going to happen. Even if you want to do something, even if you want to do something, if you never take time to figure out the why, and if you just do the what, and your why is because somebody else said that you should do it, you end up like this character. You end up like this man whose why is because other people told him to do it. His identity is built around the kind of person that does things because other people tell him to. Because he can farm pity in the oppression that it creates. He knows that he has freedom. He knows that he can do whatever he wants at the end of the day, and that scares him because he said it himself. He wants somebody else to tell him the why. He wants control over him. He wants an authority figure just looming over, giving him the steps. But the problem is that the grass is always greener. There's always a hair in the soup. He's got to maintain this identity that's built around creating this oppression so he can maintain himself off of this pity. And so he cannot change. If he did, he would no longer be who he was, and that is scary. Because he knows the certainty in failure. He knows that he can fail spectacularly and get pity from other people. And that is how he can make his subsistence and validation in life. Isn't that grand? But what he doesn't know is that the uncertain road might have some other form of fulfillment, purpose that is beyond getting other people's pity. That is beyond living out an identity that is based on spiteful failure just to prove that those people could not prepare you for what was to come. And mind you, these are the people that are doing their best. You never stopped for half a second to put yourself in their shoes. Would you be able to prepare somebody better, or would you bitch and moan about how much you did for them and how much they were unable to do for themselves? That they kept bitching and complaining and going on and yodeling about how their circumstances are the issue. And when you sat them down and you prepared them for their circumstances and they blatantly disregarded, like I said before, those things that they said you had to do, no, that is a promise to yourself from them. They did not say that you had to do. Those are vague suggestions, the best case scenario for the average overall, you do not need to do those things. They do not have the time and resources to give every single person their greater purpose in life. They do not have the resources to handle that many people. They do not have the energy, the time. There's maybe one counselor in your high school, and frankly, the behavior in this character is not something that a counselor would put up with, because there's always a hair in the soup. They always find a problem. They always bitch and moan and complain and find an excuse, a reason why they cannot do it that is fundamental. And because of all these fundamental issues, they're not responsible for the implied invoice to everybody around them that they need to pitch in and sign their check for all the consequences of their actions. Thank you.
Because I dared to ask the question, why? Don't you hate doing all of this? Why are you totally fine with all of this? Is it because you're fucking stupid? Because that's what I'm left to assume. Is it because you were too stupid to ask that question when you still had a chance to change your life? And now the fact that I am asking it is raising something inside you that you have tried to suppress so hard, because if it arises at all, you're going to fucking kill yourself.
First off, I tried that. It didn't work too well. Second off, I'm fine with it because I don't have to do the things that you say that you have to do. It is not on my itinerary. My schedule is clear, brother. Everything that I want to do has my responsibilities tagged onto it. There is nobody I am waiting on. And if there is, so be it. There is nobody that is responsible for me getting what I want. And that means I get to figure out exactly what I want, how to get what I want. That's my ball game. I would say you're the stupid one. This character, of course. This character. Character playing. Satire. I would say that this character is the stupid one. Sorry, guys. Sorry, gang. If you relate to this character, you're stupid. Perhaps clinically retarded. They said that depressed people, on average, are smarter because they are more realistic. But the problem with that is that it's more left hemisphere-oriented bullshit. And what you get with that is not more realism, but more rationalization. The ability to rationalize and stick to things, right? That is the skill, which is very, very detrimental if you let it run wild. If you just calcify ideas that eat you out from the inside, if you validate them at every possible conceivable situation, you get nothing but the beckons of insanity. Because at the end of the day, if you seek out nothing, nothing will come from anything. If you seek out nothing, you will get nothing. And what I mean by nothing is the physical embodiment of nothing. That is the depressed outlook. That there is nothing for me, there is nothing I can do. False on every conceivable front. There is nothing more facetious than the belief in nothing. Do you want to be happy? Do you want to see things differently? Because I don't think you do. I think you realize that the pity that you garner from other people for appearing to be unique when you fit so perfectly into the DSM-5 in one little filed away, locked away, paragraph-long description, that you feel like you stand out when you don't. I think that delusion is the one that is satisfying, and the scary part is realizing that other people that are happy, that seem average, that seem normal, that seem boring, are so much more interesting than you and that have so much more going for their life, and they're not miserable. They put up with these things because it doesn't affect them. They've become somebody who is not affected by these things and has things that they care about in their life other than just getting through the day out of pure malice and spite. So then you can go home and you can whine on the internet, so you can record your car video about how everything sucks. Everything is horrible. You are stupid. No amount of therapy visits, no amount of IQ tests will change the fact that a stupid person is somebody that dies unhappy, that does not do what they love, that does not pursue things they want to do, that has lost all curiosity and wonder in life. That is a stupid person. And the people who are just smart enough to be depressed are also the people that are not quite smart enough to realize that they don't have to do that. Frankly, in terms of killing yourself, all the notable, like really smart savant people that went on and killed themselves, they did it at a really young age. Pro tip, wait it out. I'd be willing to wager if they just let things play out and didn't try to think of themselves as the smartest person on the planet, didn't try to think about the expectations and the crushing weight of the world because of how special they were, it would have leveled out and they would have realized the reality around them. You can delude yourself into madness and you can delude yourself into sanity. Which would you prefer? This is a choice that you get to make that will determine the circumstances for the rest of your life, and by golly, you better do it early or it'll fucking suck.
Is that it? Because I bothered to ask why. They call me a spoiled brat. They called me entitled.
Here's the thing, he's not denying them. He's not denying those things. But he will have an excuse. And let's see what it is. Spoiler alert, it is the worst feasible excuse known to man. Antinatalism. Put them together, give them a round of applause. Yeah.
And the whole time I sort of was wondering, let me remind you of something. I didn't ask to be born. I've said that in a lot of videos because it's something that I think is another question that most people don't ever consider. You are telling me all of this stuff that I have to do as if I wanted to do it in the first place. You're telling me all of this as if I should be grateful for the opportunity to do it. I'm not.
Well, you should be grateful. And you are entitled. You are not grateful to do it. You do not want to do it. You have something wonderful. All of the particles in the universe yearn for life. They yearn for the transcendence of coming together at such an opportune moment so as to live, to achieve a consciousness as high as our own, and you reject it. You reject the furthering of our consciousness, of our species as a whole, everyone around you, every ounce of negativity that you spew, even satire or not, it ripples outwards. You cannot go through life without having an impact on those that surround you. Every single action that you take is not simply your own. It does not just affect you. Everybody in your vicinity is influenced. We have mirror neurons. We follow trends. We pattern behavior. We seek patterns. We create patterns, and people like you that put out these videos create the worst kind of patterns, the ones that are so toxic and full of dross, the sterile mathematical vision of a reality that will never exist, that you complain about being born and say that I'm actually not entitled because I'm not enthusiastic about being given the greatest gift in the universe. Tell me why it is a bad thing. Tell me why. Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why ain't nothing but a da-da. Saying I want it that way. Tell me why ain't nothing. Life will persist with or without you, and humanity gives life a unique opportunity to go where it has never gone before. Space travel is an interesting development, where we can be the vessels for other life to other planets to spread more rapidly, to inseminate the universe, like Abraham said, to create as many children as there are stars on the sun, and to take the Ark of Noah with us. Every single species, create more. We are creators on earth, if not in parallel to God, then below him. You do not need to believe in God to see the concept that is awesome here. Awesome as in literally awesome, evoking awe, the wonder in just this simple concept. You could die and have contributed to this and be proud of simply the possibility, but simply you choose to take. Instead, you choose to take. You choose to drain those around you, to spread this fucking pathogen of nihilism and antinatalism and just pure fucking depression that would not have existed otherwise without you. I despise people like this because they have an excuse for everything. They always get away with it. They don't hold themselves responsible. And at the end of the day, even if no one interacts with them and they go into a dark hole and die, people still see the example set, and people will still follow the example because some people want the novelty of it. So tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why ain't nothing but a mistake. I want it that way. My voice is dead, and still the tune goes on. What else will this creature say on?
Okay. If you had asked me, if at some point when I was floating around in the ether, if you had asked me, would you like to be siphoned into a human body so that you can experience what it is like to live in a bureaucratic nightmare society? The good parts will be fucking, drinking, doing drugs, falling in love, but even that gets bad eventually. Having kids if you decide that you're so bored. And that's it. You know, your relationships.
Well, now with that attitude.
Yeah, I could say it over and over again, but like, again, I didn't even expect him to say this. I didn't watch the original video this far. He creates in his mind an awful version of reality to juxtapose it to something that does not exist. Some sort of fantastical empty space that he can project any sort of excuse onto and use it to prove his point. The ether? The fuck? Dude, floating around in the ether? That's more implausible than the concept of hell to me. Prove that there's an ether where some place that people come from before that. If you follow science, and I presume that you do because you don't believe in God, you cannot come to the conclusions that you are at right now until you have developed past the point at which you can. The prior you in the ether had no knowledge whatsoever. Nothing. It was nothing, according to your belief. You gained the ability to make that decision only after you started to hate it. And you created up this hypothetical situation to pretend like you could make that decision, so then there could be an oppression that you could valiantly fight against and fail at. So then you could gain the pity of people around you. Thank you.
I would have said no! I'm perfectly happy floating around in this ether here, this little ball of gas. I'm good. But I didn't have a choice. Because my fucking... No offense. But I am the product of somebody's boredom. The reason that I was created was because I was something to do. I was something to fill the time.
If that's what you perceive, then that's what you are. Congrats, you've created yourself around that image. Now enjoy it. Yippee!
I was the lazy answer to that question for somebody else. And now I am expected to perpetuate that cycle of abuse and usage. Well, I'm not going to. That's why I'm not having kids. We got enough. I'll figure something else out to do with my time. Still nothing. Well, I'll tell you this. Thank God this doesn't last forever. And thank God it doesn't make a fucking difference. Thank God. I never understood people who were afraid of death because for me, that's my why. The only answer to the questions that I've raised in this video that I've been able to come up with is because I'm going to die. It doesn't matter. Fine. Fine. I'll get to go back to the ether, the floating cloud where I was before I was born. And I don't remember that. So, fine. Maybe I'll even get reincarnated as a bougainvillea. Wouldn't that be nice? Although I hope it's not my bougainvillea that I got from the Home Depot, because I killed that thing in a month. Alright, I'm sick of this crap. See you later.